Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are doing well. It finally happened. I had my first on-track incident. The car's fine, I'm fine, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to review the video footage, find out exactly what went wrong so that I can learn from it, grow from it, and then keep moving forward. As most of you know, a couple weekends ago, I was at NCM Motorsports Park with the National Autosports Association, which is NASA, and I eventually want to get into wheel-to-wheel racing, so their HPDE system is something I wanted to go through. This was their last event of the year. I just wanted to get my foot into the door so that next year I can hit the ground running. The entire weekend was spent with their HPDE 2 group. I learned so much throughout the weekend. Up to that second to last session of the weekend is when the incident happened. Even that incident itself was a huge learning lesson. But before we move further, I want to give you guys some context to understand really what was happening leading up to that session. The weekend itself was really long. It was packed with classrooms, talking to people, working on the car, driving, the drills, everything. It was just like sensory overload with a ton of information going into my brain. Not only that, having to fix the car and having to deal with its issues as well. So staying up late the night before, running out to go get some car parts, coming back, not getting to bed until past midnight, and then having to get up early for more classroom, more driving, more drills and stuff like that. There was a lot happening, so by the time we got to the end of the second day, I started to get really tired. The big thing I was dreading was the drive back home after that event day. We were planning on heading back home to Chicago after the second day, which was Sunday, and that's a 6-hour drive after a long day of tracking your car. So that's just something that I was dreading, I did not want to do. So as I was waiting for the second to last session, I sat there in the truck pondering to myself, should I take a nap? I had the opportunity to grab a 15-20 minute power nap to make sure I could get as much rest as possible before we left. And in my head, I knew that if I didn't take this opportunity to take a nap, that on this 6-hour drive home, as I was nodding off in the truck, I was going to be kicking myself in the butt for not taking that nap. So I went ahead and took a 15-minute nap before that session where inevitably the car went into the wall. So with knowing all of that, being tired, dreading the drive home, just not being focused in general, we'll go ahead and watch the video and you guys can see exactly how everything built up to that very moment. I'll go ahead and play the entire outlap because it did happen on the outlap. That way you guys can see my demeanor, what I was doing, how much I wasn't pushing the car all the way up until the incident itself. And then from there we can break it down. Now, as you can see on the outlap, I'm taking it very, very slow. It actually happened to be the one session where my outlap was the slowest throughout the whole weekend. My outlaps were a little bit faster than usual because I was trying to keep up with the group. Typically I would be like at a 5 or 6 tenths pace, but this weekend I was maybe at a 7/8 tenths pace on my outlap. But you can clearly see on this outlap, I was very, very slow. I had no traffic in front of me. I was just taking my time. Even up to the front straight, you can see where I short shift to 5th gear. I may be 70, 80% in the throttle. You can see I'm not even giving it the beans at all. I'm just kind of cruising down the front straight. As I'm approaching the brake zone, you can see I hit the brakes around the 2.5, 2 marker, maybe even earlier than that. But I'm using a medium pressure brake. You see me downshift from 5th to 4th, and you see me turn in, hop up on that curbing on the right side of the track there on 1A, and then this is where it gets interesting in 1B. Initially, I thought that I had a really late turn-in going into 1B, but after watching the video, it turns out that I'm not that late. Maybe I could have been at the apex a little bit earlier, been up on the curbing a little bit more, but I wasn't too far off. But this is what happens in 1B. As I start to initiate the corner, the rear end starts to rotate on me. Most of the time, this is an initiation on my part. I'm doing this on purpose, but this is the outlap, so the tires might have been a little bit cold still, but this is something that I did not initiate, so it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. Typically with a front wheel drive car, you'll just give it some throttle, a little bit of counter steer, and it'll pull you right out of this little oversteer situation. But if we zoom into the pedals of my feet, you can see that my right foot kind of just freezes in the air. It doesn't go to the brake, it doesn't go to the gas, it just kind of freezes there as I'm sitting there pondering what I'm going to do. And in this moment, after I've had some time to think about it and watch the video, I think this is what was going on in my head. If you look at the cars that are ahead of me, there's a 944 and I believe there was a Supra as well. So the instructors talk about, you know, a 2.1 student and a 2.9 student. So 2.9 being a student ready to go to HPDE 3, the next group, and then a 2.1 being fairly new to HPDE 2 group. Now, before I go any further, I'm not blaming the driver of this 944 for anything at all. This was entirely all my fault. I just feel like it was a small variable in the grand scheme of things that also contributed to the thought process that was happening in those split seconds of me deciding what I needed to do in the car during that situation. Now, clearly the drivers knew, they're learning, which is why they're there, right? And it's totally fine that they're at a slower pace than some of the other people there. There were some instances throughout the weekend where I really had to get on my brakes just to make sure I didn't hit anyone because they were just that much slower through corners. The speed differential was just insane. So knowing that and knowing that this was the car in front of me on the corner exit of 1B, I didn't know how fast I was gonna close in on him. So I think that had a little bit of influence with my decision making as the car was starting to oversteer. I think in my brain I was going, all I need to do is just give it some throttle and then this thing should straighten itself out. But at the same time, if I give it some throttle and I start closing in on this 944 in front of me, I could also risk hitting it. In this video, clearly there are at least 2, 3, maybe 4 callings away from me, but I didn't know, again, how fast I was gonna close in on this guy. On the other hand, I hesitated to go to the brake because, as you know, the car's already rotating. If I would've hit the brakes, transferred the load to the front wheels, made the rear end light, it for sure would have come around on me. So there's a split second where you see my foot hover right over the brake and gas pedal, not really knowing what to do. It's just this huge brain fart moment going, what am I supposed to do here? And then before you know it, my brain goes, you're about to spin out, you should probably counter steer. And that's the point where you see me just counter steer to the right, and because I'm not on the gas or the brake, it hooks and it shoots me off to the right. Before I know it, I'm too far gone. I go to the clutch, I go to the brake, I'm in the gravel, so it's not gonna slow down as fast as I need it to. In those split seconds right before hitting the wall, I'm going, this is it. I'm hitting the wall for the dumbest thing ever. I just wasn't even paying attention. Pretty damn embarrassing, right? I wasn't even pushing it 10 tenths or 11 tenths, driving the car more than it was capable of, or even more than my skill set. It was just me not being focused on what I was doing out there. And that's what caused me to have that brain fart, and just like that, right into a wall. So there are a ton of things that I've taken away from this incident. First and foremost, if you're tracking your car, we're in the business of when, not the if. If you're putting your car out on track, this will eventually happen to you, maybe more minor, maybe more severe, regardless of what you're doing out there. Even if it's not your fault, something like this will eventually happen. It's up to us to mitigate and prolong this as long as possible by making sure we're staying focused, we're not driving the car more than the car is capable of doing, or driving the car too much further than what our skill set allows, aka not going out there and driving the car like an egomaniac. And also another thing, something I thought was really funny was that even though the incident happened, I was still happy, I was still joking around, a smile on my face, and the instructors were saying how good of an attitude I had despite what was going on. And I'll tell you guys this, when we're tracking our car, you have to have the ability to let this car go, because anything can happen to the car out there. It could just be completely totaled, you can lose it. So all your years of hard work, all your hard-earned money, all of it could just be gone in a split second. So knowing that you can't go into this tracking your car with this huge attachment to it. Yes, it is important to you, but you also have to be able to let it go because it can go at any single moment. And with that mindset, I was able to accept what happened, just smile about it and carry on. Because at the end of the day, this is the best possible outcome for me in this situation. I got my first incident out of the way, I hit a wall, and thankfully there were some puffy barriers there to help soften the blow even more. The car is fine. I mean, the wheels even still look straight when we pulled it off of the flatbed. I walked out of the incident perfectly fine, maybe a little bit of a sore neck and a sore back, but I'm good now. And the response from the NASA organization was so quick. By the time I was in the wall to when I was in the paddock, it must have been a mere couple minutes. So if you look at the thing as a whole, everything that happened was the best possible outcome. The car didn't get too far damaged, I didn't get hurt at all. The organization we were with was great and handled it perfectly. Instructors came over to my aid and made sure I was okay, even other drivers as well, some of my friends that were there, and even my girlfriend. So as much as it sucks, it happened, but I took away a lot of information from it. I learned so much about staying focused, regardless of how fast or how slow you're driving out there, and making sure you're staying hydrated, you're getting the rest you need the night before. Anything that you need to do, you know, pre-session routines, jumping jacks, whatever you need to do to get yourself hyped up and amped or awake, go ahead and do what you need to do. I know things like this can be super embarrassing. I mean, I'm in a wall, I've ruined the session for everybody. Reviewing the footage, I'm like, what are you even doing out there? Because it looks like I've never been out on track before. But as I sat there and thought about all of my friends that track their cars, I'm going through them one by one and going, oh yeah, he hit a wall. Yeah, he hit a wall. He hit a wall too. That guy hit a wall. She hit a wall. And it was just like, yeah, I think everyone I know has hit a wall before, so I've just kind of joined the club now. But before I end this video, I just want to give a huge shout out to the National Motorsports Association. Their HPDE program is so fun. I've learned so much. The instructors are great. They came right over to my aid, asked me if I was okay immediately after the incident. So I appreciate that so much. Even some of the other drivers, Mark, I met him over the weekend. He was in my group. He came over right away and checked in on me. Thank you for that. And then my friends, Charlie, Bao, they were there. They made sure I was okay, made sure their car was fine. And last but not least, my girlfriend for being there, supporting me through everything, supporting my dreams of becoming a race car driver. And I'm sorry for the scare, but you know that I've built this car to be able to keep me alive if anything happens. That's why I stress so much about safety, roll cages, seats, harnesses, helmets, Hans, all that. I knew that if anything like this was gonna happen, I was gonna walk away from it. So please, if you guys track your cars, really look into the safety equipment. I know safety equipment is expensive, but this stuff keeps you breathing. So go ahead and invest in good safety equipment because it's really going to save your ass. Although the car's a little bit beat up now, it's okay. Most of it is just body work. I still have to go in, dig in and look into the suspension, find out if there's anything wrong with the suspension there. Not only that, the community, all the friends and family that reached out to me, whether it was a text message or Instagram post or a Facebook post, thanks for reaching out. It's been super humbling to have everyone reach out and make sure I'm okay and to see if I need help with the car or parts or anything like that. I've already got a new fender and a new door thanks to some of the homies in Indiana. Johnny, thank you for that. The help from the community is just insane and I couldn't be more happy to be part of it. But with that said, we're gonna continue to rebuild so that we can get back out there on track and be ready for next year. So if you like the video of me hitting a wall, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to share the video, that'd be great because it helps out the channel a lot. And if you wanna stay updated with the car and my process with becoming a better driver, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Until then, stay safe, stay smooth, stay focused. I'll see you guys in the next video.